Good morning, everyone. Welcome to CGTN's live streaming. We're at Shanghai Hongqiao International Airport, and today's the first day of Spring Festival Travel Rush, which is also called Chunyun in Chinese, and it is usually regarded as the largest human migration on Earth. Because Spring Festival is arguably the biggest date for many Chinese in many Chinese calendar, and people usually at this time is expected to make their trip back home and to make this family reunion, to get some social gatherings and to have big dinners. But this time, especially this year, it is unlikely that many people are expected to show up here at the airport. And as I can see, so much so forth, I didn't spot that much rush this time. There aren't as many people as expected. As you can see from the picture. Okay. Right, and this is the check-in place for people to get their ticket and to get their luggage checked. Also, usually these places are filled with long queues, but this time I can even spot several empty places. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, especially this time in China, there are some sporadic cases resurged in many cities of the country. For example, in Shanghai, on January the 21st, we have reported 3 new cases, and as of now, there are 16 or more people still under treatment in hospitals. And also, due to this case, 4 places have been designated as the medium risk areas in Shanghai. And to curb the spread of the virus, many people are suggested to stay where they are or stay where they work for during a 7-day holiday this time. Okay, so, Shanghai is a place with the largest number of migrant workers, and usually at this time they are expected to go outbound the city and to, gather with their family members. But this time, many of them are suggested to stay where they are just in case that the coronavirus would get worse after this large epic migration. And human-to-human transmission is the main way for this virus to spread. So this is also an effective way to contain the virus. You see, when we are working along this area, prevention and control measures are underway, and it's quite normal here. We're getting used to that sometimes. You see, every people in the picture, almost every one of them is wearing a mask, and this is as required. And on every check-in spot, there are hand sanitizers for people to get disinfected. Also, speaking of these prevention measures, I don't know if you guys have noticed during last year's few trips on air, there are some of the major changes during this time. You see, I have a friend who's a flight attendant in China's Eastern Airlines. She told me that you see, some of the meals provided by the flights, instead of these reheated meals, they have provided sealed packages for passengers, and this is to reduce the exposure of the food, and also to give passengers more safety guarantee. And at the same time, this area has. I can hardly see anyone, probably because there's no flight right here, no flight checking in task right here. Okay, but overall, this airport, this departure lounge, is not as crowded as before. So, and we can also see some of the Spring Festival vibe in the air with. This year is the Ox year in in Chinese traditionally, with many, this red little cuties out there. And also the Chinese red signifies good fortune and good wishes to people. Also, we can see this is a robot that's become a norm during the coronavirus outbreak to reduce the contact between humans, human to human transmission. We have many places, especially hospitals, airport, and public places, have put the robot machine into use for them to provide some of the services to give you maybe give you sanitizers, and also to make some disinfection work across the region. And hopefully later we can spot someone to know about their trip. Okay, so here we can also see another disinfection robot, right? Okay. All right, hopefully we can find let's go. Okay. Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, let's go find a passenger and ask. 哎，您好啊，小姐姐您好。是这样，我们是 CGTN， 我们正在做一个那个直播，然后想问问您，因为我们今天是那个春运的第一天，所以想问问您，您今天是要去哪里？
要回家。
回家哦，您
对
家在哪儿？
在云南。
云南。
对。
Okay. 稍等，我翻译一下。Okay. So this young lady, this young lady is going home, and her home is located in Yunnan Province, which is in southern China. 啊，这真是个好地方。那你那个你要回家之前有没有就是要做哪些措施呢？就是有没有 take 那个核酸检测？
有。做核酸检测，然后买点口罩什么的吧。
OK。好，那你回到家以后需要隔离吗？
需要。
也需要。
对。
OK， 是居家隔离还是？
居家隔离。
OK。
再过2天应该就是被带走隔离，过2天就是。
是吗？
对。
OK。那我们可以等一下看一看您的核酸报告吗？就是想给网友展示一下。谢谢。Okay, so the young lady said she's going home, and before going home, she will be she has conducted her nucleic acid test as required by the Chinese officials, because this is to ensure. 小心。This is to ensure everybody's safety and also to curb the spread of the virus. And as long as you get a negative result of this nucleic acid test, you can go home. But many of them are suggested to, stay where they are. Okay, 这是您的核酸检测。好，我们来看一看。All right, so this is her. Yeah, this is her nucleic acid test, and as you can see, it's shown like. 如果它显示阴性的话，是在哪里？它
是在看这儿吧。
Okay, and the result is right here. So 未检出或低于检测下限 means it's a negative result. Okay, 谢谢。哇，那祝您春节愉快。
谢谢。
Okay, 好。Okay. All right. So now, as we're marching on, we are, So as we just know about the passengers, from what that passenger just told me, she has done, and she can now go home without other. Have a self-quarantine at home, and to just in case to see if she has any symptoms, or if there's anything wrong. So, and also, just to give you a little bit background of this year's Spring Festival travel rush, that Chinese Ministry of Transport has estimated that about 1.7 billion trips will be made in total this year. That includes those travel by air, on air, or by railway, and also by bus, or those who drive home. But this year they will saw a 40% down number compared with 2019, and also an up by 10% compared with 2020. So the, this pressure of Spring Festival travel rush is still considerable. Also, oh, that's the security members, right? Okay, so as we just finished this long trip from the one side of the airport to the other, and on the other side is a train station at Hongqiao. It's a Hongqiao railway station, and my colleague Mengqi will be there. Talking about. She will also take a bullet train later, just in a few minutes, to experience this firsthand. Okay. All right. Okay. So before Mengqi's getting ready for this live streaming, let's explore more on this airport. Today is the first day of China's Spring Festival travel rush. For those who just joined us in the CGTN live streaming, we're doing this live show of what's going on here at this airport in China's largest human migration. Okay. All right. Let's talking to some of the. 您好，我们是那个 CGTN 的记者，我们现在在做一个就是关于春运的一个直播，然后想问问您，就是这次春运。您可以问这个我们专门OK all right 好，谢谢 OK so OK no problem 好So as they are busy, they're in the middle of their work. They're not available now to take our interview, but it's okay. We have spotted that quite a lot information here at the airport. This large human migration seems like a little bit different this year because of the COVID-19. And there are some measures taken. So yeah, speaking of the control and prevention measures, when you get on board, I don't know if you guys have noticed that some of the people, some of the areas have been designated as a quarantine area, usually in the aft. In the aft, when there's someone who shows symptoms or has this fever or cough or coronavirus symptoms alike, they will be assigned to a designated quarantine area, and they will give them a separate restroom for him or her to use. So usually at this time, the flight attendant will put on their protective suit, and also to give service to those people. And usually on the international flight, I heard from my friends who's at the China's Eastern Airlines. She said every one or two airlines, international airlines, has a people with symptoms or who's a suspected case. So usually this time they have to gear up and to stay vigilant and put on their protective suit and to give the people the kind of service he or she needs. So this time, yeah, many people are lucky enough to get home, but as long as they have the negative nucleic acid test, they're free to go. You know, people from low risk areas can just hold this. Okay, no problem. So people from medium risk areas, such as those from Shanghai's Huangpu district, Baoshan district, they will have to, principally they need to stay where they are or where they work for during the 7-day holiday. But if they have to leave the city for work or for any other reasons, they need to possess a negative result of a nucleic acid test during, which is valid over the past 7 days. Now let's go find some other passengers. 您好，打扰您一下，1分钟。那个，我们是那个中国国际电视台，我们现在在做一个新媒体直播，想问问您这次是回家吗？
对，是回家。
您家在哪里呀？
家在西宁青海。
西宁青海。Okay. So this young man is going home as well, and his hometown is located in China's Xining Province, right? 不对，青海 Province, Xining City. Sorry. Okay. 那您在出发之前有没有做核酸这个报告？做这个检测？
这个做了。这个有做的。
好的。您回到家之后需要隔离吗？
回到家以后需要隔离吗？应该，我那边还不知道，因为我那边不属于就是中高地区嘛。
您那边是低风险地区。
对。
Okay. So China's Xining City, Qinghai Province, is a low risk. Is now designated as low risk area. So when he get home, he does not need to do nucleic acid test, right? But he has done this test in Shanghai before he gets home. 好，非常感谢，祝您春节愉快。
好的。
Okay, bye bye. All right. So yeah, he's another lucky man who gets this nucleic acid test, and now he's free to go home. I can spot his his pleasure. Very obvious that it's really, this is a special time. But if you are not able to go home, or you chose to stay here voluntarily to spend your first maybe 7-day holiday at this major festive in Shanghai, it's okay. And I guess everyone will thank you for your choice, for your option to stay here and to curb the spread of the coronavirus. And even Chinese officials will thank you for staying here. And it's also this time, I guess many people are finding another way for entertainment, or for this like iCloud family reunions through their handsets, through WeChat, through phones. They can do this video calls through the holidays. And this time I plan to stay in Shanghai because either because of both because of my work and because I'd like to stay here. So, as a journalist, usually during major holidays, we have multiple stories to report. We have many interesting things to cover, and also some major reports, breaking news. So this time it's really a good time for us to stay where we are, and to stick on our job and to cover stories. So, all right, let's maybe talk to some other guys on his or her trip plans. 好，我们再找找。Yeah, just a minute. Okay. So this is quite unusual this time. Not many people are spotted in the picture. And also here we have this hand sanitizer everywhere. We're kind of getting used to that. Yeah, it's automatic, right? Okay, so just get some hand sanitizing. You know, when you, before you getting bored, they will give you this hand sanitizer as well. Okay, yeah, maybe let's talk to them. Oh, maybe. Okay, maybe it's not a good time because the man is asking about his boarding information. All right. Oh, seems he just got his ticket. 哎，您好，先生，打扰您1分钟。我们是那个中国国际电视台，我们现在在做一个这个直播，就是今天是春运第1天嘛，然后想问问您是回家是吗？
对，回家。
您家在哪儿？
家在重庆。
重庆。
对。
OK。哎。那您这次去重庆之前，您需要就是做核酸报告吗？
没做，因为我们持那个健康码就可以了，因为我们是低风险区域的，就没有做核酸检查。
那您在上海的话是在哪个区域？
在奉贤。
奉贤。
对，在奉贤区。
OK， 谢谢。All right。那个春节快乐。Okay, so that gentleman is going home, and his hometown is based in Chongqing. And he said he doesn't need to take nucleic acid test because he's from a low risk area in Shanghai's Fengxian district, and Chongqing is also a low risk area. So this is quite convenient for him to, as long as he possesses a green health code before he's getting bored. Okay, so much so forth. And now I guess you guys are wondering what's going on there in Shanghai's railway station because my colleague Mengqi is waiting out there. And later she will take a bullet train with passengers all the way to a nearby city in Jiangsu Province. And over there, she will be giving us her first-hand report on what's going on during the trip and what it looks like. Okay, yeah, and what it looks like on this epic migration. Let's toss to Mengqi and see what's going on there. Bye bye.
Hello guys, this is Mengqi. Let me show my face. And that was my colleague Jiaxin at Shanghai's Hongqiao Airport showing you what the first day of Chunyun is like over there. And basically here at the train station in Shanghai, it's the same, you know. The station at the moment is not that busy. You could even see empty seats. And actually the staff here told me that the traffic volume here is only about 1/3 of what they would typically see on the first day of Chunyun. Now, for those of you who don't know what Chunyun is, let me just briefly say this. So Chunyun is also called the Spring Festival Travel Rush. It's a 40-day traveling period where people across China, you know, travel to go home to reunite with their families. And usually, for this period of travel, around 3 billion trips would be made. And for this reason, this travel rush is also dubbed as the world's biggest human migration. But this year, we're expecting a much less busier Chunyun. As I was saying, you know, this is Hongqiao railway station. It's actually one of the biggest transportation hubs in China. And Shanghai, especially on top of the fact that Shanghai is among the cities that has one of the highest outflowing number of travelers during Chunyun. Today, so I arrived here at around 8 a.m. But for these past 2 to 3 hours, it's been like this. It's roughly the same. So you see empty seats. You don't see that many people compared to, a normal day. This is definitely not the busiest Hongqiao station that I have seen. And today, actually, I have a train ticket with me. So I'll actually be taking one of the bullet trains to go to a nearby city called Lianyungang. It's in the coastal Jiangsu Province. Jiangsu neighbors Shanghai. This is a new line. And right now I'm waiting for the gate to open. So this is my entry gate. And actually, a while ago, I also saw staff at the station, disinfecting all of these entry gates. And now I'm waiting for my turn. So as I was saying, Lianyungang is a city in Jiangsu Province, and this high-speed rail line between Shanghai and Lianyungang has only recently been put into operation. So that will be some good news for people heading home to Lianyungang. And hopefully we'll also get to talk to some people, some passengers on the way, on the road, to see, what they feel like going home and how it has been, whether it's been a difficult decision or a difficult trip for them. Because authorities now in China have been urging people to stay where they are for the New Year holiday. And that's why you see such a reduction in traveling. You see the empty seats here. You see a reduction by almost 2/3 here at the Hongqiao railway station. Normally they have much more people on the first day of the travel rush. Now, as I was saying, this year, to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, authorities have been urging people to stay where they are. And this reduction in travel is also very likely a result of the new regulations that's come into effect today with the official start of Chunyun. According to the new rules, people going back to rural areas have to present a negative COVID-19 test report from the last 7 days. And they're also subject to a 14-day health monitoring at their rural home. And for others, staying where they are, employers are encouraged to hand out subsidies to their staff to keep them in the city where they work in. And authorities also said they will increase the supplies of cultural and sports programs on TV, on the internet to meet the demand, entertainment demand of people staying behind for the holiday. So right now, today I was given the assignment to find out what the first day of Chunyun is like. That's why I'm here at the station, Hongqiao Railway Station, one of the biggest transportation hubs in China. And I'll also be taking a bullet train to a neighboring city in Jiangsu Province. This new line, this new high-speed rail line has only been put into operation recently. So that's good news for people heading home to the city Lianyungang, where I'm going. And right now I'm waiting for the entry gate to open. Then we can board the train and actually talk to people heading home. Maybe, let's just ask around. Oh, so the gate is open as we're speaking. So now, let me get my ticket. So now I'm heading to Lianyungang in neighboring Jiangsu Province to see what it is like to be on the road and what precautions have been taken to ensure passengers' safety. That's my train, the one which leaves at 10:51. Here we go. So, upon entry to the train station, we had our temperatures taken, and it's also mandatory for passengers to wear masks. As I was saying, I saw staff at the station disinfecting the entry gates regularly, and also the station was broadcasting constantly reminders for people to put their masks on. And now, I think the train's not here yet. And now we are about to board a bullet train from Shanghai to Lianyungang City in the neighboring Jiangsu Province. This is the first day of Chunyun, or the Spring Festival Travel Rush. For those of you who just joined us, this is the first day of Chunyun, and we are on the road to experience what this year's Chunyun is different. What's different about this year's Chunyun? Sorry. So Chunyun is a 40-day traveling period where, people travel across China to reunite with their family. This is the traditional Chinese New Year, is the holiday for people, for family time, for people to get together, get back together with their families. Let's see where our train is. 我们是这个站台吧? I guess the train's not here yet. So the one you're seeing right in front is the train we're gonna take, the bullet train. It travels at more than 300 kilometers per hour. And today the trip we're gonna take is from Shanghai to Lianyungang in Jiangsu Province. This is a new line that's been put into operation only recently. It reduces the traveling time by a lot. So that's good news for people heading home back to Lianyungang. And we'll see whether we'll find any passengers who are actually going home today. So, right, that one is our train. And the G letter, G7524, the G letter signifies it's a high-speed rail, the bullet train. It's a high-speed train. Okay, seems like, okay, let me just check my gauge. 我们是05车, we're on the 5th carriage. 5th. 当前9号, 10号, 1到8车. So 1 to 8, we should continue going this way. Here comes our train. We're gonna take this train departing from Shanghai to Lianyungang City, the terminal station in Jiangsu Province. This is a new line that's only been put into operation recently. And it's going to reduce the travel time from Shanghai to Lianyungang by lots. Good news for people heading home today. Okay, so we're on the 5th carriage. 我们在第5车厢. This is 8. Number 8. Let's go. There aren't that many people, actually, I think, getting on board. You can see the train is not so full. Lots of empty seats. So this is the first day of Chunyun, the Spring Festival travel rush that usually would see around 3 billion trips being made across China. But this year authorities say they are expecting a 40% drop in that number. So this is carriage 6, we're at 5, but let's go from here. We got a reminder that our carriage is over there. There's only actually 2 minutes of stopover, so we have to hurry. People with all their luggage. We got a welcoming message from our stewardess. Our seat is on. It's 13. Oh, this is our seats. So right here. Let's put down our luggage. So this carriage is not too bad. It's like what, half full? People are just settling in. Let's just, move in a bit to make way for people settling in. Now, for any of you who have questions, now is the time to ask them. So we are on board a bullet train from Shanghai to neighboring Jiangsu Province to a city called Lianyungang. And this is the first day of Chunyun, a 40-day period when Chinese people travel across the country to reunite with their family. During this travel rush, usually around 3 billion trips would be made, but this year authorities say they are expecting a 40% drop in the number of trips being taken. So they're expecting around 1.7 billion journeys. And we're now on board a bullet train from Shanghai to a nearby city. It's a high-speed rail line that's only been put into operation recently, and that reduces the time for people going to Lianyungang from Shanghai by a lot. So good news for people heading home today, and we hopefully will be talking to some of these people to see whether they are going back home and what is being required of them to actually take the trip. So I was just showing you, the station, Shanghai Hongqiao Railway Station, where traffic volume has reduced by 2/3 compared to what we would typically see on the first day of the Chunyun, the travel rush. So you see now on board this train, everyone is wearing a mask, and this is actually mandatory. Now, the Chunyun is dubbed as the world's biggest human migration. That's got everyone interested in what this year's Chunyun is like, due to obvious reasons because of COVID-19. Authorities have been urging people to stay where they are for the Chinese New Year. There are a lot of restrictions, a lot of requirements for people actually making the trip. For those heading to rural areas, they need to have a negative COVID-19 test report. And they're also subject to a 14-day health monitoring at home. Now, our train has just departed. So as long as our signal allows, we're going to walk around a bit to talk to people and see what the trip has been like for them so far and where they're heading. Guys, if you have questions, please ask. I'm very, very excited at this moment to be taking this bullet train even though I'm not heading home today. But a lot of people on this carriage are, so let's talk to them to see, how they feel like. What are they feeling at this moment? It's a bit wobbling. This train is actually it's going to be traveling at a very fast speed. Could reach around 110 kilometers per hour, if I'm right. But because we're wobbling quite a lot, so it's not safe to walk around now. 要么我们有点晃。Okay, let's probably head back to our carriage first. 您好，请问您是去哪儿的？您是去连云港 ，so he's heading to 连云港。那就是您是在上海出发的，还是从哪里？
从嘉兴南站。
从嘉兴南。So he actually got on from Jiaxin, another city in Jiangsu Province, so not from Shanghai. 那请问您是回去过年吗？
对啊。
He's going back for the Spring Festival. 稍等，我们是那个CGTN 就是央视英语频道的记者，所以现在就是在报道这个春运首日的一个情况，所以就想简要问一下您，那个是作为学生回家吗？
是。
So he's a student going back for the Spring Festival. 那有什么要求吗？这次买票容易吗？ Is it easy or difficult to get the ticket?
不容易。
不容易，今年买票不太容易。So it's actually not that easy for him to get the ticket. 为什么呢？就是因为我们知道往年那个票是挺难买的哈。
今年其实比较容易。
您说。
今年比较容易，因为他们通过手机订。
So this passenger here is saying today, this year is easy for him to get the ticket. 那我坐一下这个。
Together.
So they are together. 您是他父亲吗
No, I'm his teacher.
Oh, you're his teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've actually met someone who speaks English, and he is the boy's teacher.
Yeah.
那你们都是回家是吗？
是的。
So they're both going back home to 连云港，就回连云港。
是的。Yes.
那您刚刚说到今年买票的这个情况，你再给我们解释一下。
这就不说英语了。然后今年他们都是通过手机那个12306的客户端订票的。还是票源比较充足吧。
So they all booked the ticket from an app, an official app developed by China's railway authorities. Sorry.
而且他们都是今天早上才订的。
哦，今天早上。
今天早上才订的，大概9点钟左右。所以还是。
So they only booked the ticket at around 9 a.m. this morning. So there was ample tickets around. 就票源很足哈。
票源还好。也可能是我们这个线路票源比较充足吧。
这条线是新开的。
没多久。才有几个月的时间，这条线。
您也是回家过年吗？ Are you also going back for the Spring Festival?
是的。
是小学还是大学老师还是？
我们是职业学校的学生。
So they are from a vocational school. 那就是我们其实知道今年因为疫情这个，就整个就不是那么容易，包括回家，如果尤其是去农村地方，还有这个核酸什么的。您这边有受到这个限制吗？ Are you under any kind of restrictions this year to go back home?
Yeah. 我们收到这方面的消息，而且我们的江苏有一些返乡的政策要求，所以说我们回去以后第一时间要带他们做核酸检测，然后再拿着核酸检测报告回乡。
就是你们下车之后 ，So Jiangsu Province has its own regulations. Upon their arrival, they are also subject to a COVID-19 test, and then only with a negative report can they go back home. 那是就是会隔离吗？还是？
不会，我们是从低风险地区回来的，所以我们只要回农村的话，需要提供7日之内的核酸检测报告。
那您是打算去哪儿做呢？
回连云港 City， 连云港当地城市里做，对，市区去做。
So because they're from a low-risk area, what they'll do is when they arrive at Liangang, they'll take a nucleic acid test, and then they'll have to prove that the test is negative before they can go back home to the rural areas. 您也是要回到农村是吧？
我不回。
OK.
他们要回。
His students are going back to the rural areas, so that's the, the rule. 那现在你们回家是什么心情 ？So how do you feel like going back home? 回家什么心情？离家有多久了？今年就是过去1年有回去过吗？
回去过，2个月没回家了。
有2个月没回家。那现在回家过春节是什么心情？今年就是尤其又要做核酸什么的。
心情非常愉快。
He says he's happy, even though you have to do a COVID-19 test after you arrive. But everyone going home should be happy, For me personally, it's like it's going to be a once in a year chance, during the Spring Festival. 那谢谢你们，谢谢。Let's talk to some other people, passengers here. It's actually quite full. Little kids. Everyone is wearing a mask. Everyone is wearing a mask. There are some empty seats here. A lot of luggage. See? Luggage people are going to bring home. 大叔，打扰您一下，您是要去哪儿呢 ？Where are you going?
我去连云港。
啊，您也是去连云港？没事，好。He's also going to 连云港。您现在方便就是说话吗？
可以啊。
谢谢。就是我看您有电话。
挂点
谢谢。就我想问一下，您是从哪里回连云港 ？Where are you? Where did you leave?
是回到上海是？
您是从上海出发是吧？So he departed from Shanghai. 然后是回家过年 for the holiday?
是，我是从以色列飞到上海，又从上海到连云港，再回家过年。
您是从以色列回来的 ？So he actually came back from Israel. And he arrived in Shanghai. Now he's making the trip from Shanghai to 连云港。那您是做什么的呀？从以色列回来？
是农民工，就是打工的吧？可以说就是土话，就是农民工吧。
就是在
搞建筑。
搞建筑He's a construction worker in Israel. 所以您是在以色列做那个建筑工程。那是今年是第一次回家吗 ？First time going back home?
这一次我是在那不做了。3年嘛，我做满了3年，我回家。
Okay. So he was in Israel for 3 years, and now the term is full, and he's leaving it, and he's going back home now. 那中间呢，您是不是回来还经过了隔离？就在上海的时候。
我是在上海一开始到橘子酒店隔离了7天，7天又转到汉庭酒店又隔离了7天。现在刚满，今天应该是15天了吧？我回家，地方党委打电话给我，还要隔离14天。
在哪儿呢？在家里？
不是，我在连云港下高铁。我们县里边来车接我，不知具体在哪隔离，我也不知道。
OK， 但他们知道您要回去是吧？
对，那当然啊，我是在以色列买了机票，订了机票，家里就知道了。
OK，就今天是第15天。So he just finished a 14-day quarantine in Shanghai. This is the 15th day after he came back from Israel.
报告全在我包里。
He also has the nucleic acid test. 我们能看看吗？
可以啊。
He has the nucleic acid test in his bag. So this is the 15th day. He just left Shanghai, and authorities in his hometown in 连云港 says they're going to pick him up once he arrives, and then he'll take another 14-day quarantine. 那欢迎您回家呀，先生。Welcome back home. 挺不容易的。
哪个是啊？这个是不是
？We're looking for.
这个不是，就我刚才买的车票。
没事，您再看看。您是就自己回家吗？还是有同伴 ？Are you alone or do you have any company?
我就自己回家。刚刚是2个人，他那个人买的是11点多的车票，我买的是10点多的。
就不一样的车次。
对，车次不一样，他是11点。
So he had a company, but they're on different train now. So 这个是解除这个哈。
对呀，就解除核酸报告在这下边啊。
这是核酸报告。So
对呀。
Here's a copy of his nucleic acid test report. 是在上海做的。
对，上海，我做了核酸检测5、6次啊。
这是在哪儿做了5、6次 ？So he said he's undergone the test for 5 to 6 times.
在以色列那上飞机核酸检测，要健康码，上飞机，到了上海，虹桥机场嘛，那下飞机还要核酸检测，扫健康码。你住酒店，一开始住了橘子酒店，到里边核酸检测，健康码。你出了酒店，到了汉庭酒店，还得核酸检测健康码。这今天等于隔离期到了吧？我们出来还得做核酸检测。这个释放这个不是这我也说不清，我没有学过。
谢谢你。Rounds and rounds of nucleic acid tests. So before he boarded the flight from Israel back to China, he had to do it. After he arrived, he had to do it. When he went into quarantine at the hotel, he had to do it. When he changed hotel, he had to do it. And now, after he is free from quarantine, he's going back home. He is doing it again. 那谢谢您，怎么称呼您啊？
这边没有过呢没。
郑大啊，
郑州啊。
好，谢谢郑大哥。那祝您新年愉快。就现在回家是什么心情呢？就终于要回家了，经历这么多坎坷。
我这么长时间在国外打拼吧，回家的心情很激动吧，只能这么说。要不然。
您是3年都没有回来是吗
？3年，去了1年，回家一次了。那这不是很安全吗？现在搞得现在有点。
也有1年没回来。
之前1年回来了，这个2年了，又回去又做了2年，这次回来了。
好，谢谢您，祝您新年愉快，也欢迎您回来。So it's been 2 years since he last came home, and now with the pandemic with COVID-19, it's been really difficult. But fortunately, he's made it so far, and he's now finally on board this train to go back home. Now, with that said, I think that's a really good ending here. Period when Chinese people travel across the to reunite with their family. I just noticed that some of you sent comment, so let me have a look. So Henry says he wants to know whether Shandong Province is a low-risk area. I would suggest you check, from official outlets. As far as I'm concerned, I think Shandong has only sporadic cases, unlike Hebei or the northeastern provinces of Heilongjiang and Jilin. I think Shandong is fine, but it depends on where you are. So I would really suggest you check with where you are heading, see whether you are subject to any kind of requirements or regulations. So yeah, Chai Kyung-sun says this brought back memories from traveling. Yes, from Shanghai to Suzhou is even faster, with the bullet train. Right now we see staff are checking people's ID. Some of you said it's nice to be able to travel again, and in China, because the pandemic's been brought under control largely by the middle of last year, so traveling is commonplace. But now with the travel rush, with the Chunyun, there are new regulations that's come into effect, asking people, for example, going to rural areas to present a negative COVID-19 test report. But anyways, we just talked to Mr. Zheng. He came back from Israel. After rounds of nucleic acid tests, he can finally get on board this train to go back to meet his family. And that says a lot about all of us in China. Going back home to get back together with our family is such an important thing. And usually we can only once a year. So we hope, a safe and sound trip to every one of us in China, and to you guys making trip perhaps elsewhere. And we hope that pandemic will be brought under control soon. And we wish everyone a happy 2021, a happy and safe 2021. Well, thank you so much for watching.